information now in hand, the division finalized its plan of attack. It would hit the campsite at exactly 7 a.m., when the guards were exercising in the open and at their most vulnerable. The mission was set for February 23rd. That mission would be an audacious three-way strike, attacking the prison camp by air, land, and water all at once. First, on the ground, the division scouts, the recon unit, would team up with guerrillas and surround the camp the night before the raid. They would make the initial attack on the Japanese guards. Second, from the air, the parachute unit, B Company, would jump to a drop zone right next to the camp, then rush in to join the fight and round up the prisoners. Meanwhile, from the water, a third group would travel by amphibious vehicles, crossing the lake by night. They would secure the camp area, then ferry the internees to safety. The rescue mission had the urgency of a ticking bomb. On February 21st, John Fulton radioed a message from the guerrillas that the Los Banos guards were planning to massacre the inmates. On February 21st, members of the 11th Airborne began the mission that would take them to Los Banos. The parachutists formed their lines, ready to jump. As they looked down, they suddenly saw the camp buildings come into view. And in the wooded areas next to the camp, the recon teams were waiting. The planes were their signal to start the attack. Right on time, the planes appeared over Los Banos. When they saw the drop zone next to the camp, B Company jumped from their planes at the remarkably low altitude of 400 feet to make them less of a target. For the recon teams near the camp, the open parachutes were the signal to attack the Japanese gun positions on the camp perimeter. While the Americans fired their guns, the Filipino guerrillas attacked the Japanese with their machetes, called bolos. The shooting was over remarkably quickly. Within about 20 minutes, the troops had wiped out all resistance. The Los Banos camp had been liberated, but the soldiers and inmates were all still in danger. They were deep behind enemy lines, and the enemy might arrive at any moment. Some 6 hours after they had crashed into the Los Banos camp, the American Amtrak vehicles came ashore on the other side of the lake, bearing their cargo of civilian prisoners. The inmates had woken that morning in captivity. Now they were standing on American-held soil. And for the liberators, the reality of what they'd achieved that day began to sink in. They had rescued all 2,147 civilian internees from the camp. From the lakeside, the ex-internees were trucked here to their new quarters, the former prison where some of their rescuers had stayed right before the raid. But this prison seemed more like a palace.
Oh, happy confusion. If you see the pictures, you'll see us getting off the trucks.
Plus, of course, there was food.
We could get in line for our first food, which was beans.
B Company, the 511th, was to jump on the Japanese side of this prison camp. The plan, there was no rehearsal on this. This was done just boom, boom, boom. Div Recon of 32 people, we crossed the lake and dug out canoes one at a time. The Japanese commanding officer, he had his people out, all the guards, doing calisthenics. And that's where Div Recon caught them. Alligators crossed the lake. We had one guy, Vince Call, got wounded. We got all these prisoners across the lake. And it was probably one of the most perfectly planned and carried out operations, to my knowledge, of World War II. And I'm very proud that I did take part in this.
late in 1944. I was sitting on the edge of my cubicle, writing in my diary, and it was raining hard. Didn't expect the sentry to walk through. They usually waited till the rain slacked a little bit. Sentry comes walking through, and it was almost upon me like this. And the guy across the way started with a loud cough to get the sentry's attention. And I looked up, and when I saw I was writing with my right hand, and I had the book open, the left one. I just almost involuntary went. Of course, I played softball, and I knew how to flip the ball. Did this, and it went out the window. And when the guy got no more than 8 or 10 feet down this way, I just stood up like this and walked, and then ran out the back door. February 23rd, Friday, 1142nd day. Was awakened by our monitor, Ed Samara, at 6:50 a.m. I dressed and sat in front of the barracks waiting for the 7 o'clock bell. Dressing means I wore a pair of many-time patched shorts and no shirt. At approximately 6:58, 9 C-47s in tight formation passed over the lower camp. Suddenly, parachutes blossomed out. They were paratroopers. A minute later, guerrillas attacked the sentry posts and guardhouses. Machine guns, rifles, and grenades popped all around. I went to Barracks 28, was able to see the capture of the southwest guardhouse. One little guerrilla ran up the aisle with phosphorus grenade in one hand and a bloody bolo in the other. A paratrooper, a staff sergeant, told us to grab valuables and just what you can carry. We ran into machine guns. Amtraks opened up for a few minutes, and then we moved on. We're all taken to New Bilibid prison at Muntinlupa. Cigarettes and candy were given out before a tasty supper at 7 p.m. What a day. When the firing first broke out, we thought that the Japanese were firing at us.
Yeah, sure.
And so everybody got under cover. And it was good, because when they started attacking the pillboxes, these machine guns here just swung around like this.
Right.
They didn't even stop firing, and they fired right through all these barracks. The bullets would come in one side and go out the others.
Yeah.
And back in this barracks here, the 3 young ladies had gotten underneath the mattress. The problem is the bullets came underneath the mattress
Sure.
where they were, and 2 of them got injured here, but not fatally.
No,
There were
I know.
13 people altogether that got machine gun graze of some
Those
sort.
2 nuns that I was involved with that came running out of one of the barracks, and I grabbed her and threw her on the ground because the machine guns were going over our heads.
They didn't want to leave their gear behind.
Right.
Not only their
Their uniform.
their habit
habit was a pure white. Is that
Right.
white when they first went in?
and the articles they used for daily mass too. You see,
Yeah.
they had those with them.
Yep. There were these 2 that I helped.
Yeah.
And they thought I saved them.
Well, you did.